Months leading up to 9/11, the CIA sounded the alarm that something was coming. A new CBS News documentary that airs tonight takes us inside the CIA's hunt for al-Qaeda and its then leader, Osama bin Laden. This is a preview.
From April to mid-July of 2001, there was a significant increase in intelligence reporting about al-Qaeda planning attacks, catastrophic attacks, multiple simultaneous attacks, history-changing attacks.
We'd seen chatter before other operations, but they started using language we had never heard before. They were calling it Olympic-sized. Armageddon.
There were real plots being manifested. The world felt like it was on the edge of eruption.
It's early this Tuesday morning, the 11th of September, 2001.
From the heart of New York City.
The first job of any government is to protect the country and protect its people. But you don't get credit for what you stopped if you don't stop them all. And we were unable to stop the big one.
For us, there was a personal dimension in this. 3,000 Americans have been killed. The city I grew up in had been blown up. There was an emotional piece of this because we had woken up every day of our lives trying to stop what just had happened.
It's still so emotional. We're joined now by former acting and deputy CIA director Michael Morell, whom you saw in that clip. 20 years ago, he served as the CIA's presidential daily briefer and was with President George W. Bush on 9/11. He is now CBS News senior national security contributor and joins us at the table. Mike, it's good to see you.
Great to see you.
You know, I'd forgotten that you were with the president that day and you were there at that school because we didn't even know what we were looking at. But here's the question. You're the perfect person to be here today because your knowledge is so vast. And the question is, do you think we're safer today than we were back then?
We are absolutely safer today than we were back then, Gayle, for two reasons. One is immediately after 9/11, we increased our defenses. So it is much more difficult for terrorists to get into the United States. It's much more difficult for them to move money. It's much more difficult for anybody to hijack an aircraft. The second thing we did is we took the fight to them overseas. So wherever we could find them, whether they were in Afghanistan, whether they were in Pakistan, whether they were in Yemen, we took the fight to them and degraded them so that they didn't have the capability anymore to attack us. And we've done that consistently since 9/11.
But now the Taliban's in control in Afghanistan. That's why I asked the question, do you think we're safer? Because for a lot of people, it seems like we're right back where we started.
Right.
Do you think that it's possible that al-Qaeda could reemerge?
Yes, and whether that happens depends entirely on us. So I told President Bush on 9/11 that I was highly confident that what just happened was the result of bin Laden and al-Qaeda. I'm here to tell you today that I am highly confident that the Taliban will allow al-Qaeda to have safe haven in Afghanistan, and al-Qaeda will want to reconstitute. So the question is, will we allow that? Will we have the intelligence capabilities to watch them, to see what they're doing, look at their plans and intentions, look at their capabilities, and then will we have the military capability to go in there and degrade them if we need to? And will we have the will to do that? If we do that, they won't be a threat. If we don't, they could be a threat within 12 months.
Do you consider al-Qaeda and the situation in Afghanistan to be the single biggest threat facing America today?
So not right now. Right? I worry about al-Shabaab in Somalia. I worry about ISIS in North Africa. I worry about domestic terrorism here. But if we don't do what we need to do in Afghanistan, it will become the single biggest threat again.
What will be the legacy of our war in Afghanistan?
So I think about it as what's the legacy of the entire war on terror, right? And I think there's two pieces to it. One is we have protected the homeland since 9/11. There hasn't been another 9/11. We all worked very hard to make sure that that didn't happen. That's fantastic. That's success, right? We won that war. But at the same time, I think we've weakened America a little bit because for those 20 years that we were fighting a counterterrorism war and a counterinsurgency war, the Russians and the Chinese were catching up to us conventionally. And some of the things we did post 9/11, the war in Iraq, for example, caused political division here at home, right, that we're still paying for.
Right.
All right, Michael Morell, you have the last word on that. Thank you very much for joining us today. Race Against Time, the CIA and 9/11, a production of our very own See It Now studios, airs tonight at 8/7 Central, right here on CBS. And it's available tomorrow on the Viacom CBS streaming service, Paramount+.